So this is our fourth one. We've cleaned up Dufferin, we've cleaned up Bathurst, we've cleaned up Weston, and now we've done Peel. So we've got one more to go, which is in Ward 2 next Thursday. Come on out and join us next Thursday. This one's a little special. The other ones we just cleaned up. Today is a campaign platform. I think many of you know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm passionate about the city. I've been committed to the city for years, and I'm really, really frustrated with the leadership we have today, and we need a change. I've got a little package. I'm going to hand it forward, and you guys can pass it around. And what it talks about is it's talking about leadership for a change that are in there, but we really need a change in the city, and it takes leadership to do that. And of course, it isn't one person. It's never one person that makes these things happen, but hopefully we'll get a team of people in there that are ready to work together. That would be a nice change, and start tackling some of the big problems. I've identified 5 major issues that people are very concerned about: the culture of governance. We're a little bit ashamed about how our city is perceived. We're proud of our city, and we want other people to realize it's a great city and we love living here, and we want to make sure that our reputation is well received, and at the moment we need some change. The other thing is fiscal responsibility. All of us have seen the waste. We're fairly well off right now as a city because we get a lot of money coming in from development charges. So because that money's pouring in, I think people aren't realizing we need to be wiser in how we're spending it, because when the development charges slow down, if the economy slows down, or we run out of land, which eventually will hit the urban boundary, and then what are we going to do? And that's not that far off in the future, if you see how fast we're ripping across the landscape. So in about another 20 so years, we'll be out of land, and then what are we going to do? How do we meet the bills? Well, we have to increase the taxes, and that is totally unacceptable. We have really high taxes right now, and it's a challenge for many of our residents to meet those taxes, and we need to get them in check. So we have to fix the waste. The other thing is a sustainable city. It's kind of a buzzword that's come out lately, but it is a really key word, and it's building a city that will provide the same kind of amenities that we have today, with the taxes in check, preserving our environment, so that generations of, what do we call ourselves, Vaughanites? I don't know, with residents of Vaughan will have the same wonderful city that we have today, and the same air and the same services, and they'll be able to afford it. And so we have to build that city. And right now, we're going in the wrong direction. I don't know if many of you paid attention to the latest change that the city's done with the urban boundary expansion. Some of you that know me know I've been working on this for about 2 years, and I'm devastated that the city hasn't listened to the public. They didn't listen to the input. They've gone ahead and they've done not only all the intensification that the city can handle, but they've also done an urban boundary expansion, and they do not need to do both. And it's going to be devastating in the long run, because all of the development to the north is going to have to come down on our roads to get to the south where all the services are, and that's unacceptable. We have a problem now. You can't fix it if you have sprawl. Probably one of the biggest issues I'm hearing when I knock on doors, traffic and of course the speeding through subdivisions and safety for kids and families. And that is a much more difficult problem. But the reason we have this kind of problem is because we've allowed the growth to occur, and we haven't put the infrastructure in place to service that growth. Now there's a reason for that. They didn't touch on it earlier, but I'll touch on it now, and it comes under the fiscal responsibility. I'm not sure people are aware, but the region is over $1 billion in debt. It costs us this year, $208 million to service that debt. That's $208 million that could go to social programs, the infrastructure we need. So we can't get what we need because we're too busy paying for the debt. Now hang on a minute. That was to provide infrastructure for development. We've done something wrong here. We need to get the developers to pay for the infrastructure ahead. If they want to develop, and we've had to put those things in place to make that happen, the developers need to pay for that. And I'm not saying we need to be unreasonable, but we shouldn't be paying that kind of debt load to provide for future development. It's denying our city the infrastructure when we need it, the social services that we need. So that has to change. We need people with strong leadership and a strong will to change those policies around. Other cities and regions do it differently. They're not in the situation we're in. So it can be done. It's not unique. We need to change this. All right? And the last thing, and I mentioned it a couple of times, social, cultural, and health services. You guys know, okay, a hospital's coming to Vaughan, right? Okay, maybe not. All right? We've been talking about this hospital for 20 years. What we don't have right now is the services, the health services that we need. And yes, we need to lobby for a hospital, but it's in the provincial hands. And right now the province is studying it. They put $7 million for the hospital, but it's not committed. We bought the land so that if the hospital is approved, we know where to put it. But that doesn't help our residents now. So there's a lot more we can do to get the clinics and the services, the health professionals, putting the energy in building the things that we need today, the clinics and getting the support for things like radiation, chemo, dialysis, things that people have to go downtown every day, and it's just devastating for families to have to cope with that. My family, both my mom and dad had cancer, so I know what it takes, and we need to do more for them. Not my parents, but for the residents of our city that have to cope with these problems and don't have the services here that we deserve and we need. Cultural, I've been pitching, I know we have a Metro Centre coming. It's going to be a game changer for Vaughan because we don't have a place which brings Vaughan together. We're Woodbridge, we're Maple, we're Thornhill, we're Concord. We need to be respectful of those unique areas in history, but we need to bring them together. And how do we do that if we don't have sort of a center for our city? So a center is coming, it's going to take time, but there's a plus and a minus. We have a subway coming right to the middle of our center. So there's a great opportunity there, but it also can be a real problem because if we're not careful, it's just going to be a bunch of towers, residences, a whole bunch of traffic, and not a lot for us. So I've been pitching for a performing arts cultural center, something to give a heart to our city and to bring an opportunity for all the different cultures in our city to display their dance, their art, the cultural elements that they can bring forward. So we can shine and display all that we have to offer in Vaughan. So that's something that's a little bit of a vision there. The other thing is the social. Because of the regional debt, we have, I don't know if you know, but there was an amount of money that comes out of our taxes that used to go to GTA pooling. And that was to go to pay for services in Toronto because, of course, we were a bedroom community, we didn't have services here, so people all went to Toronto for what they needed. Well, we're not that anymore. We're turning into our own, real vibrant city that needs to provide the services here, and the province recognized that. So they're phasing back out the GTA pooling, and the money's coming back to us. So what have we done with that money? Have we started providing services to our residents? No. 90% of that money went to pay the debt at the region. So while that money was supposed to flow back into our community to support social services, it did not. So we are really weak in our social service structure, and we need to work hard over the next few years to start getting those services to the people, the most desperate people in Vaughan that need help, and they don't have much right now. So we should be ashamed, and we need to do something about that, and so I'd like some of that money to come back to where it belongs. All right, so that's a little bit. I hate politicians, they talk too long, and I've already talked way too long. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight and give me that chance to share a little bit of what I want to do in the next 4 years if I have a chance to get in here with quite a few points. I want you to hold me to it. These are the things that you can hold me to. So, have a look at them. And in 4 years, if I haven't done something on that, you can nail me, all right? Because that's what I'm going to be anticipating doing, all right? Thank you very much.